this is Chef Banks, and you're listening to Rich from Heard It on the X right here in Buffalo. What?
Hi, folks. Welcome back to Heard It on the X, the big anniversary show. There is something that I meant to talk about, and I actually forgot to talk about it, and thank God for Kim Rita, who just told me. If you're watching this on the studio cam, either on YouTube or on Facebook, right now you're seeing something that was sent to us from Eddie Van Halen. We had talked about Master Sergeant Wilson Santiago,
yes,
who he's serving in the Air Force, wanted to buy a guitar. We sent him the guitar. We had gotten the story to Eddie. Eddie had sent. This is a duplicate. This is not a duplicate. This is something that Eddie sent to my daughter Kate, who was also involved in this. She was working late with me one night. So this is something autographed to Katie. Something exactly like that is on his way to Wilson Santiago, and that's the Eddie Van Halen that I know.
And we talked earlier about
not the Sammy Hagar version, the Joel Sullivan version that's selling books right now. That's the Eddie Van Halen.
And we were talking earlier about how I had gone to Frontier to speak to their students earlier this week. That was one of the stories I told them about how great Eddie is and how he just sent us a autographed picture. And it was, for Sergeant Santiago, and he wanted to do something for him. So that was one of the stories that I ended up telling the kids.
And one of the things that I've learned in life is that everybody falls down. We all fall down. So looking, pointing, staring, kicking, and laughing and selling books at a point when somebody's down who's not down anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of it. So thank you, Eddie, for that. And thank you, Wilson Santiago, for what you do for the country. Now, we're going back to Jim. And I want to welcome everybody back to the anniversary show, and we're talking about the Troubadour. And I just think it's funny. Oh wait, you've got to tell them.
Yeah, before the break, we were talking about. You were saying how you were talking about Bonnie Raitt and how she, needed a keyboard player. It's funny because before the show, me and Rich were talking, and we were talking about, we were going through your resume and how you had played with Bonnie Raitt. Earlier this week on my Facebook, I had just put up a YouTube video of a Bonnie Raitt version of Angel from Montgomery. And I said to him, I was like, it was a live one. And I said, I wonder if Jimmy's on that. And, we looked at it and, we're looking because it's not the best. It's not the best quality, it's an old video. And we're like, that's Jimmy on keyboards. So it's just shocking how much you've done. And, I mean, you forget really how much you've done, and
It's just funny that you had put that up, and then it turns out that is funny. So we're going to try to rush through this, and you've got to come back again.
Well, I'm happy to.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. But you're doing your Monday thing, and this Monday theme seems to stick with you because we were talking about, and one of the things we want to talk about is your association with the China Club.
Well, I got to finish the Bonnie Raitt thing.
Finish that. Yeah, finish that.
We might not be able to get to the.
Okay, and then we'll do another show on it.
Story.
Yeah.
But what happened was, as I said, I panicked when she said that. You got your own band. And I said, no, I'm doing this in order to get hired by people. I didn't say it to her.
Yeah.
But I know this is why I'm doing this, to get hired by people like you. So. Two of the guys in the band, the aforementioned Bo Siegel, the drummer, and the bass player, Chuck Fiore, knew this guy that had come to town. And we were always kind of a loose amalgam. And they brought him down to sit in a couple times. His name was Billy Vera. He had come to town on a fairly bogus songwriter contract with Warner Brothers. But they brought him to L.A. And they brought him down, and he play with us a couple times. And they said, well, how about having him join the band? And at the time I said, well, I was trying to showcase us as musicians. And Billy wasn't really a musician. He's a front guy.
Right, exactly.
And I said, I don't know if that's really the right fit. But then a few weeks later, Bonnie makes this comment, you got your own band. I said, call Billy Vera.
Yeah.
Get him here next week. From now on, we're Billy Vera and what we're calling Near Disaster Band, we were calling ourselves.
Right.
And that was it. I said, no, let's put this guy up front. So I want to be judged as a sideman. This is this is my aspiration.
Right.
So Billy joined that band, and he brought along his cachet and what are the people that he knew, and his connections, and that got together, and then the Monday nights turned into this unbelievable.
I just think that the way that you approach things is, I find it so interesting because it's so. The more you talk, the more I stumble across this that you Like, who does that? Who has a band that's their band, but then hires somebody so that they can be judged as a sideman? Nobody does that.
Johnny Johnson.
Really? That's true. When he got
hired
Chuck
Berry.
Chuck Berry
Was in the band, and he said, I can go farther with this guy in front than I can with me.
Yeah, but do you think he was trying to be judged as a side? I don't think he was trying to sell himself as a sideman.
I think he was just trying to make
rock and roll was taken off. And
I'm not so sure about that because they were part of rock and roll taking off.
That's true. Good point.
You know, I just think he saw a lot more commercial potential.
I just think it's so funny that you kind of like, I mean, and for lack of a better term, I just can't think of a better term. You kind of like backdoored the whole thing. You know, you give me your slowest night. I'm going to turn this into a successful night for you. You know, I got the successful band, so successful that Bonnie doesn't want to, you know, interrupt your band, and then you hire a singer to make it seem like you're a side band. I love it.
Let me correct you just a little bit. I didn't say I'm going to make this Monday night the most successful thing for you. I thought I was going to make it successful for me.
Correct. Yeah, but you were trying to showcase, but it turns out, you know, quite on accident, I guess. Not on accident. I mean, obviously,
not an accident at all.
You felt comfortable enough to do the night, so and it just turns out to be a successful night. But it's just, I just think it's funny the way things have worked for you. I find it very refreshing and interesting. You know,
sometimes I think of myself as the Forrest Gump of music.
Did you run?
And we haven't even.
Did you run to LA? And you're walking.
And my braces came off and everything. We haven't even scratched the surface. The things I've been peripheral to. I've mentioned a few.
Yeah.
A presidential campaign, Milli Vanilli being busted, the Eagles reuniting, and I'm only because I happen to be there.
And you're referring to, you know, just different things that you were at. I'd like to, we don't have a ton of time to get into do we have enough time to scratch the surface of some of the China Club stuff?
Sure, I can give you the origins. Maybe, or do you just want to cut right to the juicy parts?
Well, no, let's get the origins of it, and then we'll make a whole nother show of just the juicy stuff, like
Or do you want to tease it with the juicy stuff? You know, like,
what do you got? The Milli Vanilli one, I'm dying to hear. I kept stopping. Stop! I don't want to hear it.
How many minutes do we have?
We probably have about 6.
Oh well, okay. So without all the prefacing, this China Club thing turned into this is years later. This isn't the Troubadour thing. This is years have gone by.
But once again on a Monday night, coincidentally.
Well, I had met. I believe on a Billy and the Beaters showcase in New York, I think was the time, and Billy had all these like show business actor connections, still does, and somehow one of them was an actress named Eileen Kristen, who was a soap opera actress, and she took us to this club that had not yet been finished, but she knew the guys who were going to open it, and they were looking to be a Studio 54. We're talking early '80s. And it was still under construction. It was downstairs under what is the Beacon Theater in New York. And there was this, they were going to get rid of a stage with a grand piano on it. And I said, well, do you have music? Are you planning on live music? And they said, of course not. And I said, well, think about it. And they, I said, I've had some success on this. What's your deadest time?
The deadest time.
And I said, you might want to think about it on Mondays, at midnight. And they said, well, we don't really know any musicians. Well, I got a hold of some musicians in New York that I knew. Elliot Randall, chief among them, guitar player that did the solo on Reelin' in the Years. And so we put something together, and I came back once a month for a while on the Mondays. But I was still, I toyed with moving to New York, but I didn't do it, so I stayed in L.A. So 8-9 years later, they decide they're going to have an L.A. club. So first thing they do is they get a hold of me. Let's do music on Mondays. So that's how the China Club thing starts, and that gets just ridiculously huge, way too fast.
Ridiculously huge. I mean, like, this is how ridiculously huge. Past performers include Bruce Springsteen, Elton John, Prince, Sting, Katie Segal, Don Henley, Melissa Etheridge, Stevie Wonder, Slash, Paul Reiser, Ricky Lee Jones, David Bowie, Wayne Newton, B.B. King, Woody Harrelson, Pete Townsend. I mean, I could keep going. I'm going to lose breath here. Steve Winwood, Mick Fleetwood, Bruce Willis. We've all seen videos of Bruce Willis there. This was like an incredible, for lack of a term, once again, to associate in this area, it's like an open mic.
But it wasn't.
It wasn't an open mic, obviously, but
that caused a lot of problems.
And you had said this to me, but by the same token, people that are used to going to a club and seeing, an open mic, this is a total pro jam, but of the heaviest hitters that could possibly be at the time.
Well, the word pro jam was invented by a guy at the China Club.
Which is amazing. Ernie Corello told me that when Ernie and I'll tell you a quick story. Ernie and I are playing together. This is right after Stan had passed away, and we were playing at the 946 Club on Elmwood. And you were in town. You had stopped in there. I didn't get a chance to talk to you then, and we didn't have a piano player, so you didn't sit in. But he, and I'm like, who's this Jim guy? I mean, what's the deal with Jim? And he had said that to me. He's the guy who invented the Pro Jam. I'm like, really? Which you don't even want credit for that. You didn't even like the name of it.
Well, I didn't like it because the word jam was in it. I couldn't come up with anything better, but I wanted anything but to imply that it was something where anybody could come in and participate. It was meant to be from the very beginning.
And now for a quick juicy story, because we only got a minute left. Since we're talking about the jam thing, you said the jam portion of it made up for a problem with
people.
Slash.
Well, with people. Oh, you want to do the Slash one?
You tell me, Slash or Milli Vanilli? You tell me.
Let's do Milli Vanilli.
Okay.
All right.
By the way, Slash is Sam Kinison in the same thing.
Okay.
They had that version of Wild thing.
Yeah.
But okay, so the way it would work was we sort of knew what we were going to do, but so we never rehearsed. I prepared as much as I could, and it became like an 80-hour-a-week thing, really.
Right, I bet.
But people would show up unexpectedly, and when they did, somebody would have to make me aware of it. And so one night after one of the sets, the owner comes up and he goes, "Milli Vanilli are here," and I go, "Yeah, okay." They said, "Well, they want to." It might not be enough time because actually I only know the second half, then I learned the first half. They said they want to sit in.
Now, Milli Vanilli, the Grammy Award-winning artist who got busted for lip-syncing, never even did this.
Here's what happened. They were at the American Music Awards where they won, I think, 3 Best Vocalist Awards. But I knew this. I didn't know it was a secret. They never sang on their records.
Anything at all. They were just models acting.
Right, and they got studio singers to sing on their records. But they kept insisting that they could sing if they were given the chance. Now they win these awards. They come from the awards ceremony, wherever that was, down to the China Club to prove to the world that they really can sing by sitting in with our band.
Oh, no.
And I found out after the fact. Now, I come into the story where the owner goes, he says, "Milli Vanilli here," and I go, "Well, what do they want to do?" And he says, "I don't know." So on a break, we had this downstairs kind of like.
I'll tell you what, I hate to do this. We got to leave it at that. We're gonna bring Jimmy back to finish the story. Jim, thank you so much for everything, and we're gonna schedule you real soon to come back and continue our anniversary show.
Talk
We'll do
about
an
a
anniversary
cliffhanger.
month. I know
Talk
this is
about
super
a
cliffhanger. I'm gonna thank everybody, and remember, folks, if you heard it on the X.